Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 63 of the San Marino Challenge. Now, today's episode, of course, is going to be a game against Chievo, the first Serie A game of the season. Of course, we've also got pre-season to go over, as well as the transfers that we made. And there's been quite a bit of transfer activity as well. A few players in, a few players out. And some notable funds have been raised. But first things first, I want to go into the notebook here. And we've got a couple of notes to go over. The first of which was the stadium expansion plans were finished. And what has happened is really surprising because originally the board said they were only going to expand the stadium by about 2,000 seats. And it was only going to cost around £2.5 million. However, as you can see, at the end of the season, a little bit after, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after the season ended, the board have announced plans to enlarge the stadium by 8,600 seats. You know, essentially taking our capacity to about just over 25,000, which is really special. It's essentially a proper top flight stadium. Obviously, we probably want at least a 30,000 capacity stadium. I think would be, decent enough for our level at the moment. But that's basically what they've given. I think the maximum capacity is 34,000. So 34,402, I think it was, from that original note. Anyways, the initial estimate indicates that the planned work will cost around £13 million. So essentially it's 10 million more than what the board first, what they first told me, really. It's going to take, it is expected that the expansion is going to take around 11 months to complete. And unfortunately, we're already having to move out of the stadium that we just built last season. And unfortunately, we'll be in this place. Origel Stadium Dino Minuzzi. And this is Cesana's home ground. Basically, our former parent club, Cesana. Of course, we've had a bit of a strong rivalry with them, through the lower divisions in Italy. And, we've had some of their players on loan. We've signed a couple of their players throughout the series as well. We're going to be playing out of their stadium in Italy. So San Marino is no longer playing in San Marino at the moment. We're playing in Italy. And as you can see, they have a pretty good capacity, 23,860, which is about 6,600 more than our current new stadium. That's interesting. The other note or the other email that we got during the off-season was this one. Italy want Aussie. Now basically, the Italian Football Association decided to offer me the job of Italy manager on £82,000 per week. Now, of course, I had to turn them down, but it was nice because I actually finished a Steam achievement or Steam, whatever they're called, Steam goals. I don't know. I got the headhunted achievement there, as they offered me the job straight away. And it's only a national team that's actually offered me a job. I have turned numerous teams down since I actually got promoted to Serie A. Teams like Valencia, Monaco. Who else? I don't think any Premier League clubs have actually tried to sign me. I might be wrong. Maybe I feel like Brighton offered me the job a few seasons ago. But I can't really remember, 100% correctly if it was Brighton or if an English team even did offer me the job. So there's those two notes there. Really surprising, to be honest. And when I saw it, it was a kind of a bittersweet moment because a lot of the, youth players from our academy, they're playing for the, Italy under 21s, under 20s, and they're rejecting my call-ups. And it's kind of heartbreaking, especially for some of the real talented youth players that we do have. Anyway, let's delete these notes. They're no longer useful. I've shown you guys now. Like I mentioned, Chievo. But let's go into the fixtures before we get into the transfers. As you can see, perfect pre-season from us. Versus some pretty good teams as well. The first of which was Benfica. We managed to beat them 3-1. We then also beat Arsenal 3-1 as well. We then managed to beat AC Milan 2-0. 3-0 victory over Red Bull Salzburg. We then just managed to edge out a victory over Real Madrid. We also managed to beat our affiliate team Alto Adige 2-0. And finally, the last game of preseason was a 3-0 victory over RB Leipzig, a team that we're pretty familiar with. Of course, selling Shokri, one of the better strikers we've had over the years, to them a couple of seasons ago. Anyway, in terms of the transfers, you might have seen a few different names that you might not recognise. Let's have a look at the outs first of all. The first player that left the club was Rogers Sunzu, left for 1.2 million to SC Freiburg. A bit of a bittersweet moment. I signed him for a relatively cheap fee, 375k. We made a pretty good profit, essentially nearly 4 times our money. But I feel like his career was really, it was definitely hampered by the fact that we can only have the one non-EU player per season. Because when I signed him, I'm pretty sure I signed Sabanda at the same time, because I was sort of scouting all the African teams, South Africa and stuff like that. So yeah, it was very unfortunate, but I think it stalled his career from him actually becoming what he was supposed to. The next player we let go was Diakangelo. He went out on loan to Frosinone. Basically, probably his last season at the club if he does not ship up. We gave him a new contract because his contract was running out this season. We've given him an extra year on that just to try and get some value out of him if we do decide to sell him. Anyway, the next player was Byron Taylor. Now, he was let go to FC Barcelona for £58 million up front. Now, it was a very hard decision to make. He actually won Player of the Year for Serie A. I didn't realise this, but his games that he played in Serie A, he played 24 times, got 11 goals, 10 assists, 4 Man of the Match awards, and a 7.82 rating. Didn't really notice this until I decided to sell him. Albeit we've replaced him, and of course we are going to keep Formato, who's an Italian player. He's not obviously homegrown because it's not San Marinese, but he's probably the next best thing. And I think, his wages are going to become 100k per week as well. And I don't think we could have got that type of money for him currently. Of course, Liverpool were interested. It's worth noting that Taylor had a £60 million release clause anyway for clubs in the Champions League. So we were essentially 2 mil off that. Interestingly enough, there were 2 other clubs racing against Barca for his signature, and that was Inter Milan and AC Milan. So super happy that he's gone to Barca because, we won't essentially be versing him 4 times, or not 4 times, 2 times a season, or possibly more in the Cups. Anyway, the next player we let go was Antonucci. Brought him in for a free transfer, and we've let him go to Alessandria on a free transfer as well. Just had to get him out of the club. The next player let go was Renault to Sporting CP, of course, one of the most famous clubs in Portugal. £15 million, or just over 15 million up front, with the possibility of it going up to 18.75. It was kind of a hard decision to make, but he was on 45k per week, and he was essentially the backup last season to Vitek, I gave Vitek a new contract, and he's basically still on a lower wage than Renault was, albeit, they're both. I really wanted to try and replace both of them with a really top quality right winger, but I just couldn't find it. I was going to sign a player from PSG, a Brazilian with Portuguese second nationality. However, he decided to go on loan to Juventus instead. Anyways, Nicola Biordi, of course, part of the national team at the moment. We sent him out on loan to Pro Vercelli. Basically a pretty good club in Lega Pro with, I think, great training facilities. Are they great? I think they're great. Average. Okay, maybe not. I probably should have rejected that offer then. Anyway, the next one I'm really worried about, and I say I'm really worried about it, it is Ugolini, one of the other centre-backs for the national team. He went out on loan to AS Cittadella, who are currently in Serie B. However, they have poor training facilities. Again, I kind of got a little bit carried away. I wanted him to go out on loan. They are paying his 5k per week wages, but I'm just really worried about the training facilities there. And I feel like it might, halt his progression even though he is 20, he's sort of past the development stage, you could say. It's still just a little bit scary, and it worries me. It does. The next player let go was Valsin on loan. He went out on loan to Olympiacos. Going to link up with former player Cizek there as well. Disappointing because I wanted him to go to, I think it was Standard in Belgium, Standard Liège, who had the best, I think they had, what was it? It might have been perfect training facilities. It might have been state-of-the-art. I'm not too sure. I think it might have been state-of-the-art. But yeah, anyway, the next player let go out on loan was Camille Gora, who's looking pretty good at 19, the 19-year-old German defensive midfielder. Cagliari on loan, who are currently in Serie B. They got relegated last year. They do have excellent training facilities, which is, I think, definitely going to aid his development. And the final player let go was Foschi, who went out on loan to FC Crotone. Again, not really expecting too much. Serie B club. Facilities aren't that good either, to be fair. They're only good. But yeah, I mean, it's first team football for them. That's kind of the mentality behind it anyway. Okay, so the players we brought in, we only brought in the 2 real transfers. The other 2 were both signings to clubs from San Marino. Of course, just trying to inject the San Marinese teams with a bit of money, sort of the teams that do really well and make it to the semi-final of the championship that haven't already been there. Because I'm going to try and give every club throughout the whole of San Marino, throughout the whole division, 750k at some sort of stage or another. Once they sort of do well, if they make the quarterfinals or the semi-finals like these guys, these 2 teams here, FC Domignano and Folklore Falciano, they were both in the semi-final this season, along with 2 of the other clubs. I think it might have been Trepene, and I can't remember the other one. But yeah, so they joined the club, purchased 2 of their players, 750k each for those 2 clubs. Hopefully, again, I've written down all their facilities. Interesting, I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, it was these guys. So Folklore Falciano, they built a new stadium last season with 5,798 capacity. Pretty crazy, not going to lie. Didn't really expect to see another club in San Marino with a new stadium. Anyways, so the 2 players we brought in that are substantial are Schmidt from Monaco for 3.4 million. Left winger, of course, to replace Taylor. And this guy is definitely a high quality prospect. 18-year-old Frenchman, 11 caps for the under-21s already. Wonder kid, absolutely beautiful physical stats, good pace, good agility, good balance. Mentals are pretty good. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is the technicals. 13 crossing, 13 dribbling is a little bit low. And I think that's something that definitely needs to hopefully improve from him. Only on 10k per week, 3.4 million transfer, absolute bargain. Bargain. Considering I sold Taylor for 58, we bought him in for 3.4. And I actually brought him in before I decided to sell Taylor, before Taylor was sold. Because I sort of knew that I had to get rid of one of them. We're spending a lot on wages as well, which is part of the reason why I had to get the 100k from Taylor per week off the wage bill. And the next player brought in was Giuseppe. I think that's how you say it, Armando Giuseppe. Basically a right back, but I did sign him to be a right winger, and we are retraining him there. As you can see, absolute bucket loads of pace, pretty good crossing, dribbling not so great. But the thing is, he's a natural right back, so he's pretty good cover in both of those positions. He is 24, so he's a little bit older. Comes in from Dortmund for 9.75 million. A little bit pricey, but his value was, I think, 15 million. So it's quite a bit under. As you can see, only on 39k per week. And I mean, we needed technically we didn't need the right back because we have the Russian, our 18-year-old that I signed last season. And of course, he can be registered now due to the fact that we sold both Sunzu and Taylor. So they both were non-EU players, so we can replace their slots with new players that are non-EU, if that makes sense. Anyway, So they were the only 2 players come in. It might seem that we've loaned out a lot of players, a lot of backup players, and we have, but we still have some other players in the under 20s that could make the step up if we do, struggle a little bit for depth throughout the season. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the first game of the Serie A season. It's going to be a tough one away from home to Chievo. In terms of the starting lineup, it's a little bit changed. We're going to go with Ingvarsson in goals, Antonio at right back, Ivan and Squizzato will be the 2 centre backs today. Gilles will be at left back due to a Nesic injury. Worth noting that a couple of clubs have come in for Nesic as well, and he unfortunately does actually have a 26 mil release clause on him as well. So I've got to be a little bit wary of that, especially going into the end of August, because our window has now shut, but the overall window doesn't shut until the 31st. So another 2 weeks minimum of trying to fend off, teams coming in for my players. Anyway, Novi will be the defensive midfielder today. Britos comes into the starting lineup, of course, I think he's 19 now, the 19-year-old Uruguayan. Got 4 caps for the Uruguay national team. Basically, he's an upgrade. In terms of stats and potential, he's an upgrade on Kozic. So Kozic will be on the bench today. We'll see how things go. Arsenal were interested in Kozic at the start of the window as well. Just wanted to keep him because I feel like he, in a trio rotation for the centre mids, I feel like he's, as good as Viviani and Britos, in my opinion. But yeah, Viviani will start next to Britos today in centre mid. Then we're going to go with Formato on the left wing, Vitek on the right wing, Longelo up front. In his last year of his contract, I'm not sure if I want to renew it. Probably should have sold him if that's the case, because he's worth more than his current release clause. Still looks really good. He's only 24, but I can't justify paying 100k per week for him, especially with his goal return last year only being 13. It just seems a little bit low. And again, it might have been a mistake for me not to actually either give him a contract or sell him, because he will go for a free at about January, because I assume some teams will be interested. Anyway, the bench today is going to be Marino, Vicini, Giuseppe, Nolascoin, Kozic, Schmidt, Albani, Veta, Brajin, of course, is the Russian right back, Sabanda, and Daum. So we got a couple of potential debutants. Of course, Britos finally making his debut for the club. Good to see him in the team. He's done pretty well in pre-season. I don't think he's set the world alight like I sort of thought he would. But I think him playing in the first team for the whole season, I think there's potential to make him a world-class player. There definitely is. As Gilles picks up a yellow card in the first few minutes of the game. Good stuff. Gilles' another one I want to ship out. I just gave him a new contract, though, as a backup. Basically, I gave him the same wage that he had previously, which is only like 19,000. So very low for a backup, which I'm pretty happy with. Although he's not the best left back in the world, even as a backup. I still feel a bit iffy when I'm playing him in the first team. I don't have full confidence in his ability. At one stage he was club captain, so it's a bit of a testament to see how far we've actually come, especially since, getting promotion from Serie B. Chievo now, they are coming forward. However, player of the year last year, Antonio, does manage to get his foot in. I don't know how Antonio scored, 14 goals last year as a right back. Just crazy. Viviani, Formato now. Oh, that's off the crossbar and it's in. Cheeky little shot by Formato. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Alright, well that's a pretty good first half. We've managed to get the lead. We do have a couple of yellow cards to our defenders though, which is always a bit of a worry. Part of me wants to take Gilles off. He's on a 6.4, but the only real option I could do is maybe put Formato at left back, which I think we'll probably do. And then we'll get Schmidt, the new German left winger, on the pitch, give him some game time, because he's actually a wonder kid as well. So there's a lot of new potential in this team. And of course, we're paying less wages as well. A lot of the other players have gone out on loan as well, so we're essentially not paying massive wages to a lot of but a lot of younger players in the under-20s. That's what I mean. Longelo's just not that good. Vitek, back post, Formato cross. I mean, you know how it goes. It was sort of a common factor last season. Winger to winger. It was Taylor, more often than not as well, especially in Serie A. Gilles. I think we'll take Gilles off now, actually. Let's bring Schmidt on for Gilles, and then we'll swap Formato and Gilles around. Anything else to really do? Vitek's playing really well. Brudgen, let's bring... Yeah, we're 2-0 up. Why not? Brudgen can come on for Antonio there as well. Just want to keep Antonio fresh. I really want him to be able to start every game that we play. Which I'm obviously... We've essentially got 3 right backs, albeit one of them is being retrained as a right winger. So we definitely have the depth there now, which we seriously sort of lacked last season as well. Selling Conforti, we brought a guy in on loan. I mean, we did actually bring Brudgen in to be a backup, but of course he couldn't be registered due to being a Russian and non-EU. And yeah, that sucks. But this season's much better. Vitex just picked up a knock as well. Super disappointing. Hopefully that's not serious. Otherwise, that could be a bit of a weakness for the next however long he's out for. Like I said, we don't have another natural... Oh, Longelo, cheeky little goal. We scored some cheeky goals today. 3-0 on full time, essentially. Longelo, I was talking a bit of crap about him, but he's managed to pop up with a last-minute goal. Maybe I'll give him a new contract. I don't know. I can't really justify my... Oh, Giuseppe on debut. He's only been on for Oh, don't tell me it's offside. Oh, that's really cruel. That is really cruel. He's been on the pitch for 2 minutes. And he almost had his debut goal. It's been taken away from him due to being offside. That's unfortunate. But yeah, there we go, guys. 3-0 victory over Chievo. Perfect way to start our season. And I want to say that the strength of the team is a little bit better than it has been previously. I think right wing is sort of the only position we need to upgrade. I think we're lacking a proper, quality player. Vitek's really good. I mean, like I said last season, absolutely amazed me. Good to see that he's only out for 5 days here as well. But yeah, there we go. Formato with a man of the match performance. He's seen off his competitor, Taylor. And yeah, there we go. Britos finally makes his debut. And then we also had Schmidt and Brudgen. We actually also had, what's his name in there as well? Josephine? Yeah. Interesting that his name is not there. Anyway, we're going to praise Formato here. And then I think we'll wrap the episode up, guys. So yeah, that's going to be it for the first episode of this new season. Really looking forward to it. Of course, we're in the Supercoppa again. And this year we're going to be versing Juventus in January. So make sure you keep an eye out for that episode. Of course, we've got the Champions League again. Disappointing that we're not coming out of our own stadium. But like I said, that expansion of 8,600 is massive. And it's definitely going to, propel the club, going forward into the future. In terms of the finances, I'll show you really quickly here before we end the episode off. 225 mil in the bank. I mean, the projection for some reason is quite shocking. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. Hopefully it will get better once we get back into our own stadium and yeah, have a nice 25,000 capacity. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and don't forget to give the video a like. Goodbye, guys.